Good morning, everyone. I came across this tweet this morning, but it was tweeted out a few days ago, September 15th. It's now the 17th. And CBC News is tweeting, quote, for $170,000, a Toronto immigration company offered a job to an undercover CBC journalist posing as a Chinese national seeking permanent residence in Canada. CBC News is reporting. Toronto immigration firm charges $170,000 for fake Canadian job, undercover investigation reveals. Price tag for would-be Chinese immigrant covers Canadian employer's fee, the paper trail, and their own wage. Wow. A Toronto immigration company offered a job to an undercover CBC journalist posing as a Chinese national seeking permanent residence in Canada for $170,000. For that fee, Wohan Ta Consulting Incorporated said the would-be immigrant would be buying the job and paying their own wage. And the company said the applicant was to pay the fee to the personal bank account of Wohan Ta's sole director in order to avoid taxes. Mr. Song, and I'm not going to try his first name, I apologize, a manager with a Chinese-based affiliate of Wohan Ta, Neijing Youtai Investment Consulting Company Limited, explained how the business works to the undercover journalist using WeChat, a Chinese social media app. During the months-long investigation conducted through a translator, the journalist posed as a Chinese citizen wanting to become a permanent resident of Canada by obtaining skilled employment. Quote, to be frank, we have employers who work with us, Song wrote. We pay them money. They're willing to sponsor our clients for immigration. Song said a big chunk of the fee goes to the Canadian employer, prompting him to ask rhetorically, why wouldn't a Canadian company want to participate when it can make easy money and have a free labor for 6 months? Now, I just want to point out, this why wouldn't a Canadian company want to participate is not in quotes. The can make easy money and have free labor for 6 months is in quotes. So that's worth noting. The newspapers do this to shape what people said. So he definitely said part of that. Back to the article. Vancouver-based immigration lawyer and policy analyst Richard Kurland characterized what Wohan Ta offered bluntly. Quote, it's a fake job, pure and simple, he said. He said selling jobs is illegal and it allows rule breakers to jump the queue on legitimate immigrants who play by the rules. Quote, who gets hurt? The integrity of Canada's immigration program, said Kurland. Song said his company, Neijing Youtai, finds Chinese nationals interested in immigrating to Canada and refers them to Wohan Ta in Toronto. Song recommended the undercover journalist consider either Saskatchewan or Atlantic Canada. This is important for the next story because the qualification requirements are low and the wait times are short. He said it's $180,000 for a job in Saskatchewan or $170,000 for the Atlantic provinces. Song told the undercover reporter that over the past year, his company has placed more than a dozen Chinese nationals in Atlantic Canada and just under 10 in Saskatchewan. On its WeChat site, Wohan Ta promotes a range of skilled jobs, including such as welders, sewing machine operators, and daycare workers. The company claims it has a national network and headhunters who help recruit willing employers. It claims some of them are government immigration officials. Quote, with more and more people now wanting to apply, employers are having a larger appetite for higher fees, Song said. If you don't pay a certain fee, there's no way the employer would want to get involved in this matter. In order to qualify for permanent residency, the foreign worker has to be able to prove they're employed in a skilled profession in Canada. In an article on his WeChat page, Wohan Ta notes that it's very difficult for a Chinese national to find a real job in Canada. Quote, think of it this way. Someone only has overseas work experience, no PR, no permanent resident card, never met with an employer. It's the equivalent to a Beijing local company hiring a migrant worker with no valid ID. Why would anyone dare to hire you directly? The article asks. So, is there any real job? The answer is very, very rare and precious, the article says. Wohan Ta says it works around that by paying employers thousands of dollars for job offers. So they pay for the wage. I'm going to leave this here. This is a big, big story and happening during an election. Wow, because this puts a fine point on how leaky our immigration system has become. And this isn't Stephen Harper's fault. Justin Trudeau. And I want to make this clear. I don't know anything about this man, but he seems very successful. So this was in yorkregion.com, and this is a newspaper site owned by, I believe, the Toronto Star. So they're affiliated and they all put out a lot of the same stuff, but regional, right? So it's a regional paper, but it's centered and quarterbacked by by the central owner. And it might be the star, it might not be the star. But anyway, link is in the description. Here it is. It says, like living back in my hometown, Chinese immigrant immersed in Markham. This is the first part of a 3-part series about newcomers in Markham, the challenges they face, and where they can turn to for help. If the changing face of Markham had a successful image, it would probably look an awful lot like Dr. Ching-Chi Hsu. The practitioner of traditional Chinese medicine, TCM, and acupuncture with Meng River TCM clinics in Markham and Richmond Hill, Zhu has lived in Markham for the past 9 years after locating from New Brunswick. Originally from Shanghai, China, Chu, 48, came to Canada 11 years ago and said he loves the country. One of the reasons he moved to Markham was because of the excellent schools here, he said, and it didn't hurt that nearly half the population of York Region's largest city identifies ethnically Chinese, according to statistics from the 2016 census. Nearly half. Wow. Of Markham's population of 328,965,000 in 2016, 152,90 identified as Chinese, which makes up 46% of Markham's total. That was far ahead of the second-ranked group described in the census as East Indian at 10%, 33,000 people. And the Chinese population grew by a large number in just 5 years in Markham, expanding by nearly 34,000 people, and 7% of Markham's total, going from 39% of the city's makeup to 46%. It's no wonder Sue feels at home in Markham. There's a good Chinese restaurant here. I can go to the supermarket and buy lots of food from China, food that's exported from China. It's like living back in my hometown, said Sue. I can speak my own language. For my kids, they can speak Mandarin. He said he also picked Markham to move to for the high-quality education his eldest daughter was able to receive at Pierre Elliott Trudeau High School. So this man who emigrated to Canada through New Brunswick is now living in Markham. And so regardless of whether you are coming through legitimately as a legitimate person into our immigration system, or and some people will take advantage believing that this is a legitimate path, right? I've heard people think that this is legitimate pathway to citizenship. So regardless of how people get to Canada, when they get to Canada, they spend a short period of time in Atlantic provinces or Saskatchewan or wherever, and then they move to places like Markham. Is that the intent of our system? Is that what's supposed to be happening? I don't think so. Here's the last little bit of this immigration-focused and very concerning trend-focused show today. And this is from CTV News Health. So this is CTV News. And it says birth tourism rising faster in Canada, up 13% in 1 year. Goodness me, that's a lot of people, very, very fast. Canada's reputation as a hotspot for birth tourism is rising fast, with new data reporting a 13% increase in 1 year. It's going up faster than immigration rates, faster than the overall population of Canada. Andrew Griffith, a fellow at the Environics Institute and the Canadian Global Affairs Institute, said in a telephone interview with CTV News, birth tourism is the practice by which babies are born in Canada to non-residents so they can receive automatic citizenship without having to go through standard immigration practices. Griffith follows a phenomenon closely as part of his research. The 13% increase was found in data Griffith collected from the Canadian Institute for Health Information, CIHI, which based its information from hospitals across the country, excluding Quebec. Their research shows a steady increase in births to non-residents from 2008 to 2017. That's less than a decade. 2017-18, so that's about a decade. And then a 13% jump after that. According to the CIHI, there were 1,354 non-resident births in 2010 and 4,999 in the 12 months period ending March 2019, representing 1.4% of all births in Canada during that time. While some of the reported births involve international students and non-resident transfers to Canada for work, Griffith said he believes the majority of these cases involve mothers who traveled to Canada for the express purpose of giving birth. The laws were never intended for people to fly in and fly out, he said. Under Canadian law, children born in the country are automatically registered as citizens of Canada. This entitles them to Canadian post-secondary tuition rates, which are lower than what non-resident students pay, and allows them to sponsor parents to come to live in Canada. So, very interesting stuff. And I've done I've done a deep dive on this. Here's the deep dive I did on this. And the link is in the description, because sometimes I say links in the description, but YouTube's getting almost impossible. I've been using my website to go back to my archives to find specific dates, specific things. But anyway, I looked at birth tourism in Canada, and here is that report. And it was from, when was it? September 28th, 2018. It's gotten a lot worse since last year. A lot worse, which is incredible. And this is a website offering guidance on how to have your baby in Canada from Nigeria. That was a lot of what the other video is about. So if you're interested in this, have a read. Link is in the description. This is happening in our country, and this is 100% the fault of the sitting current government. They are to blame for the failure of our current immigration system, and we need to fix it. Carrying on with this is not a good idea, not if we want to maintain our country. Thank you for watching, everybody. Make sure you go out and vote. Voting day is October 21st. Have a wonderful, wonderful